Yes.
Will you just repeat all you said again, please?
Oh, okay. Okay. Again, I was
Yeah,
just saying that
yeah,
every
yeah.
every
Well, just,
time.
I mean, and summarize it too, but it's an important point too. And I do want to add something onto it. So
Okay.
there's a doubleness to this. Hold
Okay.
on.
Okay. I was just saying that. Okay, I'm having some problems. Not problems, but actually some awareness that how much I need to improve because I stumble when I try to read. Sometimes my tone, my throw, my sound is not appropriate, at least not perfect. And sometimes my choice of words, selection of words become like, okay, no, I wanted to say something else, but okay, yeah, it was okay, but not good enough. That type of things. All these things are
Mm.
happening and getting highlighted because I'm doing live without any preparation at all. But this is a profound opportunity because every problem, every glitch, every stumbling, and all these things are actually indicating and showing me that there is a room for improvement right there, Veena. You need to improve there. You need to pay attention. And same in the life also. If universe ever, just imagine if universe try to be nice, all kept nice with us, what will happen? It will never show us where we need to improve. It will never give us anything which actually help us to grow. Then we will stay in the same thing, the same situation, no evolution, nothing, because every evolution, every transformation comes with some awareness of lacking, where we are lacking, where we need to improve. This awareness is the real key for the evolution, for the transformation, for the growth, for the learning. We, we at least I can say about myself, we don't embrace. I used to not embrace my mistakes, my fumbles, my stumbling as the way I'm doing now, because now I am understanding this, that these are the real indicators, real signs. We all look for signs. This is the sign. There is a room for improvement right there, Beena. This is the point where you need to pay attention to, because this is the key for evolution, for transformation. Universe never tried to be
Exactly,
nice with us. It
exactly. That's
always
the point
shows
I wanted
us
to make.
things.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is what is happening with me when I'm trying to greet everyone with high energy, the way I feel, uh, with appropriate words, uh, try to really impeccable in my selection of words, choice of words, without any preparation. Yes, I'm doing it like this. I want it to be innate to me. I just want to be as transparent because the way I feel about others, the way I feel about situations, the way I feel about this live, doing this live with Syl, doing this live with you, Norma, with other people, Cheryl, Janet, Ramsey, and Cher, and whoever is going to, and Emilse also. Yeah, yes, she's also
Oh
watching.
yes. Oh yes.
So, whoever is watching, I
Yeah.
want to express my true feelings. But sometimes we get so conditioned with not to share things that we forget. We simply forget that how to really express without any filtration. And this is something I'm working on.
Exactly.
I want
Exactly.
to be as
Exactly.
transparent as I can. Then I don't need to filter
Yes.
anything. And then whoever
Yes.
is going to interact with me, they don't need to assume anything. They can
Yeah.
understand that, okay, if this is what she's saying, this is what she means. This
Exactly.
is the place where I want to
Exactly.
be.
And also, well, the one key point that's most important is that you are doing something, you practicing, you applying, right? You're applying this particular point about the greeting, and which is it's more than just saying hello, right? It's
Yes,
greeting, capital G greeting, which means you're putting appropriate energy into it, which is a sincerity of appreciation. Yes,
yes,
and that is something to practice because we are not in the habit of actually connecting to the magical moreness that's out there. Yeah, we're not in the habit of doing so. We just, it's like, okay, some good, some bad, and we wait for things to come, and maybe they do, and it's good, and we're happy. In other words, uh, we take our happiness and joy from our environment, from circumstances, from situations, not from our understanding and appreciation of the moreness that's always there, right, as a choice. The more we start to connect to the moreness of the world, the more we enjoy it, and it raises our energy because we are in a constant state of appreciation. It doesn't matter whether I'm connecting specifically to something or not. It matters that I'm aware of it. See, we don't want
Yes.
our happiness to be experiential. We want our happiness to be as a consequence of our awareness and our understanding and our discernment, because there's always more, but we might not see it. And if we rely on our awareness, we see the same stuff every day, right? If that's experiential, well, it's boring. It's the same stuff. If it's appreciative, yeah, so it's the same stuff. You wonderful. I've got the same moreness in my life that I had yesterday. I don't have lessness. See? All in that perspective shifting. This takes practice. This takes practice to be able to understand, really, really understand that what we are seeing and perceiving is just the first little bubble. That we want to take our awareness into the bubbles that are attached to that and beyond that, right? That's where that appreciation comes from. And that's how we sincerely feel the mourns. Right? I see you and you're grumpy, but does that mean you're not Beena? For argument's
Sorry.
sake. Not that I've ever
Sorry.
seen Beena grumpy, but I'm saying, let's say I see Beena, say, oh, Beena, you're all grumpy. Like,
Yes.
really? Now, does that mean because you're grumpy today that you are no longer Beena?
Exactly.
No, no,
Exactly.
no. You haven't changed from Beena to grumpy. You didn't become the dwarf all of a sudden. No, what's happened is you are Beena who is grumpy. It's a very big difference, right? It's a very big difference between Beena and grumpy, whose a state of being is grumpy, and Beena being grumpy. Beena being grumpy obviously is a temporary issue. The Beena is still there. I don't have to connect to the grumpiness. I can connect to the Beena. See? Choice. Whereas with grumpy, the dwarf, well, if I connect to grumpy, he is always grumpy. Grumpy's intrinsic, inherent to him. Well, okay, that's just how he is, I guess, and I can even, still tolerate and enjoy grumpy, right? Because it's one of the joys. I think everybody loves grumpy, even though he is grumpy, correct? Yeah, like all the dwarves. Yeah. My point being, right?
Yes.
It's awareness that makes us do this. And be able to, when Beena is grumpy, to say, hey, I'm gonna connect to Beena, the Beena that I know. That Beena is obviously still there. It's just a whatever, right? You don't stop loving people because they're in pain, for instance, and they might not be their usual wonderful, cheerful selves. See? Yeah, we're a bit shallow, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And thus, when we look at this thing from this little deeper perspective, this practice of being comfortable and the awareness that, oh, wow, I realize how much more there is to learn. That too is part of learning. And being comfortable with the current learning, being comfortable with the fact that the more you learn, the more you become aware there's more to learn, and not let that depress you or overwhelm you, and being comfortable with us, with this is capital P practice. Also, be aware that yes, the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn. But also, the more you learn, the more your ability to learn increases. And the more your ability to learn increases, the more the speed with which you learn increases, and the more the quantity that you learn in, like, at one time, it all increases. In other words, learning to be aware, it's not linear necessarily. Excuse me, it can be exponential, right? And when we start to understand exponential learning, now things really start to fall into place. Exponential learning comes particularly from this understanding of abstract awareness and discernment and understanding, right? And it's entrenched and put into place and consolidated via application. But this is how we can learn exponentially, right? Because when we learn something and we learn the detail of it, the specificness, and then also because we're training our minds every single day to also pay attention to the abstract learning, right? So when I learn to screw in a screw, if you train a robot, it takes that particular screw and it's learned to screw that in. Yes. And you go to the next screw and you say, well, screw in the screw. It says, but the screw's already screwed in. I can't screw it in again. See? This is detailed, specific learning. Yes. All right. So it says, yeah, but this says it's the same screw. You can, okay. Well, it's because it's the same type of screw. It can screw it in. Now you bring in a different kind of a screw, right? Or maybe one is twice the size, and it's not a Phillips. It's a flathead. Oh, okay. Well, now the robot is again stuck because it's not able to abstract, right? It's like a screw's a screw. All right, it's Phillips and flathead. Yeah, all right, so I got to use a different screwdriver. That's like duh for us, no? We don't even think twice about it. But that comes because we are able to abstract the concept of both screw and screwdriver, even though they are different, right? Different size, different head. They may have different thread sizes. To the poor robot and the computer, man, these things are vastly different. But for us, we can see the similarities really easily. Yes. This is the power of abstract, right? So now I'm learning not to screw a specific screw into a specific hole with a specific screwdriver. I'm learning to do it whatever screw in any hole with any screwdriver. Yeah? This is abstract
Yes.
learning. Now, that's about something practical. But when it comes to the abstract understanding of conceptualities, right? And the abstract tools, such as perspective shifting, thinking things through to the end, impeccability, all of these things, this enhances our learning profoundly. And what you are discussing today is specifically the abstract understanding of learning itself, but particular form of learning, a particular part of learning, which is practice, application. Yes,
Yes.
right, Beena? Yeah. And you
Yes.
see how this increases your learning ability, right? So just because we do become aware of how much more there is to learn, and I think even more so how much there is to practice, which is more important. Yes, we need to practice it. We need to practice it. We need to practice it. Otherwise, that learning, it goes away very quickly. And practice takes time. Learning we can do, fairly quickly, right? But it's the practice that makes that learning last. That's what matters. That's what matters, right? To last, if I say it in American. So funny how there's that difference with the A's. Yeah. It's most wonderfully magical. Very, very cool. Yes, Beena, if you have
Yes.
anything more on that? I think
No.
today I want to focus on this topic only, actually.
Wow.
That's it.
This is cool.
Because it's such an incredibly potent and important topic. It is the most important topic. If we don't understand learning, we're going to get stuck. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. And if we look at animals, they learn, yes. But do they have this ability for abstract learning and conception? Not as far as I can see. Now, again, I can only go by what is apparent to me, what appears to me, not necessarily what is, right? Who knows? Animals may have this wonderfully secret life that we know nothing about, right? Or not necessarily secret, but non-perceived life.
Yes.
This is quite possible. I don't want to be so arrogant as to assume that. But from what I see, though, and when I look, for instance, if you watch dogs or cats, the parents teach the young ones, right? They teach them specific things. And if you watch those young ones, and you'll see that they struggle to make that abstract leap when there's the same situation but slightly different. And this is not easy for them to do. Yeah. So this is a very, very powerful point. And even with people, I see this all the time. Not everybody learns how to learn the abstract lesson. I see people all the time learn the particular lesson. I mean, the one famous example I had of my friend's mother, who had to get in the car to take the kid to the doctor to get stitches or whatever it was. And she got in the car, and it was her husband's car because her car was in for repairs. And she says, "Oh, I can't drive this. This is a Chevrolet. I drive a Ford." Yeah, yeah. I mean, horrible, absolutely horrible. But and that was like, okay, the kid wasn't about to die or anything. Just if you don't get stitches immediately, it's not the end of the world. It wasn't a major deal, right? But it could have been serious. And then what? I was outraged at this mother, and uh, that that plus plus my friend who these were this was like a neighbor of my friend who I was staying over with for the weekend, and it was very suburban environment that he was in. A typical street and neighbors and the usual stuff like that. And boy, that incident plus how his parents were, they were so connected to shoot. They were really good people, right? Make no mistake about this. They were wonderfully, wonderfully good people, but they did stupid things. Why? Because this is what you're supposed to do as a parent, as an adult. I said no. I never ever. I made a very solemn vow, very conscious, very deliberate to say nope, nope, nope. I will not become an adult like that. I don't ever want to lose my individuality, my sensibility, my sobriety, my appropriateness. They did things that were inappropriate simply because they were supposed to. It's what adults do. And stuff that they didn't like as kids, but no, you've got to do it now. Come on, man. It's totally not necessary. But anyway, and that foolishness of adults, right? Adults in inverted commas, not real adults, little a adults. I never wanted any part of that foolishness. The foolishness of conformity, the foolishness of blindness, the foolishness of just repeating habit, the foolishness of instinct. Yes, doing stuff simply because it's traditional, it's habitual, whatever. No, no, no. Undeliberate living, in other words. That was the problem. And they did dreadful stuff, silly stuff. Well, not dreadful necessarily, but it's like, seriously, just nonsense for no good reason. Now, in other families, they is dreadful because of this, right? That generational cycle that people talk about. Typically, that generational cycle is very seldom mentioned in any positive context. It's almost always, negativity being repeated. But that's it. It's part of the same thing, right? And it's connected to how we learn because we repeat the same things. Our learning was premised on copying. Yes.
Yes.
And if you look at children, this is it. They are copying machines. I love when you see a child like putting on some kind of an attitude and like, hey, where did you get that from? I don't know where you got that from. You saw mom and dad do this at home in private and they didn't realize that you were watching and now you're copying them. Oops. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Be impeccable. Kids are sponges. And the sad thing is, kids they learn not to learn. They learn to be ignorant. They learn to hide themselves. They learn to be hypocritical, right? They learn to be mindless because they copy and they see this. These are the examples. So we have to really, really pay attention. Yes, really, really pay attention. And this learning, yes, we can learn to copy abstract things, but this is a very different situation and circumstance. Because when you get into abstract learning, you now are under this learning how to learn. You learning to copy how to make the tool when we get really into the super sophisticatedness of it by a way of impeccability and and the new nobility, right? And the Moreness project, right? Which they are an exemplification of. So now you are so advanced in your learning that you look at the problem and you say, oh, well, I need this and this and this tool in order to deal with the situation. And you create those tools right there on the spot. Never mind going to your toolbox and saying, well, what tools do I have? Let's see what I can do with this. I don't really have a tool for this, but I'll just make do with this and do it as best I can. Right? No.
Yeah.
Create the tool. This is the ultimate, right? But it takes practice, obviously, to learn to think this way. Yeah. But it's a very big deal, this learning how to learn. And your comments, to get back to your comments, take it full circle. You weren't talking about how to learn, you were talking about practice and application, but it's the same thing. Yes? I'm just connecting it. It's the same thing. Yeah. I'm listening, Beena. I'm listening. Now, also, I have matters of consequence to attend to.
This whole idea of learning from point where we don't have any filters, any hesitation. I think that people talk about the fountain of youth. If you really, really try to be there, and if we can do this, this is the real fountain of youth. Because I have seen many people who are always staying, no matter at what stage of their life they are, but it's still they stay in the student learning mindset. And it keeps their heart, mind, and soul so young, almost like eternal young. They're always eager. They're always updating. You don't feel any generational gap with them. You can share anything with them, and they understand it completely. You don't need to say that, oh, it is a new thing. Okay, yes, but now we don't do this. No, they are living in the now, learning and growing without having any hesitation, without having any reservations. When you just open yourself for the learning, pure for the sake of learning, you get into that learning mindset. You actually get the fountain of youth. Because I'm seeing, and I have seen before that, people who are into this mindset, they are always young. You don't feel any difference with them at all. And not only me, even the younger generation with them, that came up. There's the generations after me. Because unfortunately or fortunately, now the generation gap is just like 1.5 years to 3 years. This is a generation gap now we have. It was before, in the past, it was like 10 years, 20 years was a generation gap, generational, but now it is getting very limited, very, very short. Even just 3 years is a big generation gap. I have seen teenagers communicating with them. I have seen people in early 20s communicating with them. I have seen young kids communicating with them. They gel in really comfortably, and they understand how, just because they are eager to learn. You don't need to ask anyone. I personally feel that I don't need to ask anyone that, oh, what you have, you need to tell me, you need to share, so I want to learn. It's not the conventional idea of learning we have. The learning just when you just set your intent and you set aside your ego, universe itself will start like teaching you. You don't need any teacher.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, whoever is going to be will just become a source for you. People will come in your life, they will appear, situations will appear, circumstances will be like that. You will learn from nature, you will learn from universe, you will learn from people, you will learn from animal people, you will learn from everyone and anything. Everything will become like the source of the learning and growing for you. And it happens, of course, not all the time, because I need a lot of effort, more effort, I guess. I need to let go of my ego more. Uh, I need to let go of my reservations. Sometimes I still get into this thing. But I have seen some other people who have this open heart, open mind, and open soul for learning and growing. And everything, no matter they knew that thing about that thing, particular situation or perspective before or not, like the
Yes.
latest invention. If you talk about them, they will give you the deepest philosophy about AI.
No, no.
And they were not trained to, they were not educated with the AI. No, it's a new thing. We are learning. And same for them, but they have this understanding, this innate wisdom, which only comes from this openness for the learning, this desire, this love for
Yeah.
learning and growing. And for me, I was thinking about that why with all my friends, I never feel any gap between them. I don't feel that. It's not like I'm trying to not feel that. No, it doesn't exist. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist. And that's why, of course, I'm not able
Exactly.
to observe this. Because people say, oh, but I said, because it doesn't exist, that's why I cannot feel it. They are
Yeah.
so in the now. They are so in the now, in every aspect of their life. They're so updated. They're so hip. They're so cool in everything. Just because they are open for learning. If I'm sharing something,
Yes.
they just become all ear. Not that, okay,
Yes. Yes.
who are you, Beena? What you are going to tell me? I know way much more than you. And of course, but it's still they are keen, they are eager to learn like new nobles. Okay, so what you are discussing, what you are doing, at least I can see that, okay, I have observed some aspects of new nobility in some of my friends.
Oh, I am. I am.
At least this
Oh,
eagerness
absolutely you have. Oh, absolutely
and
you have.
growing.
Yeah.
For me,
The
I
difference is the deliberateness, Beena.
exactly, yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally feel that in my circle, there are many people in my circle who are actually living this life where they are open to learn and grow. And by just living their life, they are inspiring and aspiring others around them to be in that same space. And that
Yes.
piece of being, it doesn't mean that, okay, I always need to just acquire more and don't feel content in myself. No, I'm enough, but I'm also more. That is the key.
Yes.
That is the real key for that. Yes, I am enough, but I'm also more.
Yeah.
This is a very deep understanding of life. Once we understand this, this can become a foundation of for the piece of being we can all strive for.
Well, one important point here,
Yes.
right? In terms of difference with the new nobility. Yes, they love to learn. What they are also capable of doing and what they are profoundly expert at doing is relearning. This is a big deal. Relearning. Yes. The ability to relearn. You say, but why do I need to relearn?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Ah. Why is relearning so important? Well, one thing, relearning, it allows us to come at the thing in a slightly different way, that perspective shifting, which adds to our greater understanding. Yes. When I come at something from this fresh perspective, as if I'm learning it for the first time, like Ursula, I see things that I didn't see before. I don't assume I know. That's one important point.
Hmm.
Secondly, there's another important point, and this is the deep sophistication of the new nobility, thinking things through to the end. Right, now, let's look at our brains and our equivalency with computers. A very similar equivalency, right?
Yes.
When your computer has huge hard drives, tons of data on it, yes, and it needs
Yes.
to access this information from the hard drives, yeah, it slows down your computer, yes, no matter
Yes.
how fast those hard drives are, right? Whenever you're pulling stuff from the hard drive, that it slows the computer down. However, if the computer says, you know what, instead of me going and pulling all that old data, I'm just going to create a little program real quick, yeah, right? It takes me a second to make a new program because I'm familiar with writing new programs. And now I'm going to simply, instead of pulling that data and the old situation and pulling up the memory, I'm simply going to create the ability to re-experience this and create the tools that I need to deal with the situation right there fresh. Because I have the abstract tools of learning, implementation, application, figuring out consequence, implication, all of these tools, I'm able to deal with the situation without having to utilize my memory. This is just genius. This is absolutely fantastic, is it not? The benefits are that I can respond quickly. I can also respond appropriately because when I pull up memory, well, that was then. Yes, the situation is similar, but it's different. Yes. So I need to have that freshness. And because I'm not bringing the baggage of memory, I get to look at the situation afresh because I have this abstract ability to learn, apply, do, think, perspective shift, etc. So now I don't have to rely on memory. How magical is that? Yes, there's more to this. There's more. When we really, really deeply understand attitudes, for instance, yes,
Yes.
attitudes, mindsets, beliefs, perceptions, reactivities. In other words, habit. If I pull from my hard drive, what do I typically pull up to deal with the situation? I pull up a habit, correct?
Say it again,
Yes.
please.
When I pull from the hard drive, whatever the data, the situation, the circumstance, the mindset, the attitude, etc. When I'm pulling from the hard drive to deal with the situation, what does that fall under as a label, right? As a top level label? Oh,
Mhm.
oh, I've got this already neatly packaged from before. It's called habit. Oh, brilliant! A habit in a computer is nothing but a routine. Yes. And if
Yes.
you look at complex programs, they built up of pre-assigned routines. This is the high-level languages do this, right? The code has already been written, so you say, well, copy. You're not writing the code to copy. That's been written already. You just put in copy, yes? And
Yes.
that's a habit, in other words, right? Paste is another habit. Yes, select all.
Yes.
These are all habits, right? But you can make a complex program from all of these things, but somebody else has written the base code. Yes, the tedious code. So you're taking a routine now. Now, this is what we want to do, and when we understand this, we want to be very careful of pulling up routines that are our typical habits because they aren't the same as the computer routines, which are basically your basic premises, your core fundamentals that you're dealing with. No, we're looking at a habit that has along with it an emotional association, an attitudinal association, a mindset association, and therefore a way of being, a physicality association. So when we pull up habit, we essentially are regressing into the past, not living in the now. So when we pull up a habit, even though that habit gets tweaked a little bit and in the new, right? If we respond habitually, we are living from past. We are living with our past abilities. Yes.
Mhm.
See, so we have to take habit and understand. Now, capital H habit says, I want to be in the habit of responding to things deliberately, which means I respond in the now, which means I create a complex routine from the base routines, which the base routines, like copy paste on the computer, whatever, right? The base routines for us here would be things like perspective shifting to multiple perspectives, thinking things through to the end, energy management, mood management, all of these deliberate tools, right? All the tools in our dictionary of power. These are our core understandings, which we then assimilate and put together to create a particular a routine which is moment specific. Because it's deliberate, we want to also understand that we are not going to save this moment specific routine as one to copy and repeat later. Yeah. We want
Yes.
to not save it because this is deliberate living. It's now, it's appropriate now. But typically, what we have done in the past, and our brain, because of the inner bureaucrats, right, and the way they think, if it's working now, oh man, this is treasure to them. Save it, save it, save it, prioritize it. This worked, this worked, this worked. And the next time a similar situation comes up, they pull up that old file and want to just regurgitate it. No, sorry, bureaucrat in Department of Building Plans. That was a house that I built, 10 years ago. I'm building a different house today. Yeah, it's similar, but it's a different house. Yeah, it's new, it's updated, it's not the same. I can't use that same stuff. But the bureaucrats, they like safety. This is their prime goal is safety. So if it works, they want to use it again because it's tried, it's true, it's trusted, it's worked, and they know it works. They don't like experimenting, right? They're bureaucrats. But we want to live deliberately. So we want to say to the bureaucrats, look, it's not the plan itself. That might not work because this is a different situation. What does work are the abstract underlying tools. This you've seen time and time again. You've seen we use perspective shifting and it's but yes, 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 oh, that's such a good tool. Yes, 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 good, good, good. And thinking it through to the end. Oh, yes, this is critically important. See, we shift them. We have to manage our inner aspects, right? Now they shifted. Oh, now they don't take the specific plan, but they are saying the tools. And yes, they give the go ahead to use the tools. And these tools are tool building tools, so we can do anything with them. Once we make those our default habits, we start to not save those greater habits, those habits of reactivity, those habits of emotional response, etc. Yes, and we have to pay deep attention to that because I want to add a major point here, right? We're taking all this learning application. When we look at death, death is nothing but the accumulation of entrenched habits which take up space and time and energy and end up slowing the system down till it gets slower, 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 and eventually it crashes. That's death. Okay. Pay attention to your computer. It's exactly what happens on your computer. It has too many programs up, it overloads the resources, and when it crashes, right? Now, if you really look inside and your computer's working appropriately and working as it should, right? It will take some of those open things and close them. But of course, if your system does not close processes not in use, it just builds, 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 and adds, and that's when you get the crash, right? When you leave things open too much, right? Now, I'm not talking about Windows or programs. Yes, there's a limit to how many of those you can do, but I'm talking about the underlying process that is servicing this, right? If you go to your task manager or look at what's happening. right? Sometimes these things, they keep running even though you've closed the program. The underlying process that serves that is still running. Yes, this is just poor design. Yeah, because when they started, they just assumed that, well, if you close it, then it ends. Well, no, the computer keeps it open because there's other programs that say, well, just keep it running because if you're going to use it again, like in other words, the underlying process for opening up a browser window or a tab. If I close a tab, the computer doesn't, or a window, it doesn't shut down the process for opening those. It keeps that active because it knows likely I'm going to be doing this again, right? And it would take a lot of time and energy to start that process all over again every time you open a window. Yeah. Now, this is efficiency, but we also understand there's a downside to this. Because should I be in a situation where I'm closing all the windows because I've got other stuff going on my computer, that process is still running, and it may be, right, like other, along with a whole bunch of them, these unneeded processes in the moment are running. Right. To make a long story a little bit more simple here, we have to understand that if we accumulate habits, and those habits are ones that aren't abstract habits of the habit of, in other words, figuring it out in the moment. If we accumulate these habits of a specific response, they sit in the body. Yes, this is what tension is. Oh, yeah, exactly. And as we get older, we get stiffer, we get less fluid, we get less flexible. Why? Because we have this buildup of habit in our bodies, physically. The same way as your computer is building up these extra routines. The more complex, the more stuff, the more you add your computer, right? Over time, there's an accumulation of these underlying processes that run, which is why eventually your computer gets really like too slow and bogged down, right? And then, well, you even have to, kind of purge it and clear it and reset your whole operating system and stuff like that. But it's the same underlying process. Overloading, right? Your processor and your RAM can only handle so much. Your hard drive can only handle so much, right? Yes, theoretically, you can keep adding on hard drives. Perhaps our brain can do this, but we can store stuff abstractly and condense it. But nonetheless, though, our processor and our RAM, right? Random access memory, the stuff that you hold in, that's consciousness. That's the, right? Intelligence is the processing ability. RAM is your current conscious awareness that you are holding, that you're aware of now, as opposed to memory, right? Things you're aware of now. Now, your computer is this exact same process because it holds these things that it's busy with in RAM. And that's why the more RAM you have, the better your computer works, right? It's very important. It's a very big deal. RAM is the equivalent of conscious awareness, right? That's holding it there. And this is what we need to understand, though. We want to not be relying on the hard drive, because when you do, your system is slow. Yeah. And over time, though, unfortunately, most people's ability in life, because they think it's a shortcut to rely on memory to do things, but it's not. Over time, though, when you have to rely on everything for memory, right? What happens to your poor computer? It's got to pull up whatever you are doing. Yes, it's pulling it up from memory, from how you eat, how you sit, how you talk, everything. That's a hell of a lot of processes that are now being pulled from the hard drive all the time. See, it makes the computer slower and slower and slower. Yeah. Now, in the physical body, because these are habits that get entrenched in the body, you end up carrying around all of these entrenched habits of being. Yes, they are useful, but the problem is that you have to have so many in order to survive eventually, because you're always learning new things, that the body gets slower and slower and slower. And if you watch old age, this is exactly what it is, right? It's the accumulation of tension and stress. The body gets slower, it gets less agile, gets less flexible because of these entrenched habits. Yes, these routine packets, these routines of response. Whereas if we learn to live deliberately, I say, I'm not going to call up stuff from the past. I'm not going to call up my habitual ways of doing things. I'm going to create my response in the moment. And I'm not going to save it. I don't need to save it because I have the ability to figure it out for next time. Our system, the inner bureaucrat system, is absolutely premised on saving things. This is why memory is so valued in our education system, because in our genetics, in our past, in our history, our ability to remember how we did it before is what made us grow and advance and prosper and develop, right? And evolve. But we have to evolve past that. Yes, it's fantastic if you can remember how you did it, because if I've got to go down and figure out how to fish, for instance, or hunt every single time, unless I'm really proficient at this, it's going to be very slow to figure things out from scratch every time. Yes. But this is where abstract understanding comes from, and abstract memory. Right, many times, right, and I've experienced this plenty because I've practiced this. This is a very important point. I don't remember the details, but I remember the abstract steps. So even though I know I've forgotten because it was a while back I did things. Oh yeah, but I remember the step. I can relearn the thing much quicker than I did the first time because I'm remembering the abstract steps. Right. So there is some memory that we want to remember, but we've got to use that memory very, very, very strategically and remember those key points only, right? That you need to remember. The rest you can figure out. And that makes our ability to learn go really, really, really fast, right? Now we're in a different, and now we suddenly don't have all that massive details, where before I had to remember, let's say 100,000 details. Now I need to remember one or two key points only, and the rest I can construct in the moment. That's a massive saving in terms of my hard drive ability and what's in my body. Yes, I don't need to remember. And this is very important because it keeps us younger, because that, like I said, we remember in the body. We don't know that we do this because it's not noticed for the most part. And you start, because you don't notice that your hard drive is a problem. At least when it's not full. You only notice the hard drive is slowing down your system when it's full, right? Now suddenly you notice it. This is what old age is. This is what old age is. It is the hard drive storage in the body that is getting filled up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you take, let's say, you walk around and you're adding weights to your, put weights in your pocket. Well, most people have weights in their pocket, coins. Okay, it's not a very big weight, so it's not a big deal. Yeah? But keep adding those coins. Keep adding. At some point, you're going, you see? Some things aren't noticeable when they're in small amounts, but they become a problem in large amounts. This is the issue with memory, with habits, with attitudinal habits, with emotional habits, with responsive habits, with reactive habits. Yes? When we do something automatically, right, it's got to be saved. Right? When I respond automatically, how am I responding automatically in a particular way? There has to be a routine, an instruction somewhere that's saved, correct? And those saved, all those little saved routines, because they are situation specific. We end up with zillions of them, and we might never ever experience them again. But our inner bureaucrats say, but you might, and they save everything. Yes, occasionally those things do come up. It's like, pack rats, yes? People who save stuff can't throw things away. Yeah, but I might need it. And then, have you noticed, Beena? I think you know some people like this, right? Who save everything. When the situation comes up once every blue moon, and they say, oh, we need this. Oh, I've got to save. Oh man, they make a big deal out of it. Like this one instance where they happen to have it now, and you don't have to go out and buy it, justifies them saving the other 1,000 things that they've got cluttering up the place.
Exactly. Yes.
This is the inner bureaucrats, right? This is the inner bureaucrats. We need to say, hey, don't worry, I can go and buy it. What is the equivalent of buying it in this learning point of view? It is the ability to create the tools for learning, right? And when we have those, I don't even have to go and buy it. I can just manufacture it myself, right? Buying, manufacturing, same thing, yes? So I have my internal ability to create the product that I need. I don't have to go and pull it from my storage. You know? So this all now, from what you said, it's a very, very, very powerful life that we have here. This ability to apply, to practice, to learn in the abstract, to reinvent the wheel is absolutely critical, and it is connected to death and the body and how the body works and how the body saves and stores information. So it's kind of a big leap here in a sense, but not really, right? If you think it all through and you start paying attention, right? Now, we don't notice things when they're there in small amounts, but when you start noticing when they get excessive, like when your hard drive starts to get full and it messes up your computer. This is the same with old age, right? The body's starting to get full of all of those habits, because habits have a physical memory, right? I mean, athletes talk about muscle memory. Yeah. But when you, let's say, for instance, a typical habit of irritation, somebody,
Yes.
I don't know, they bite their fingernails, and you're like, it's a habit, it's a habitual response. Yes. Are you able to not feel that if you choose? No. They do it and you feel it. It's automatic, right? It's a physical response. When you go, ew, whatever, look at your body, what happens. Right? It's a physical response. That habit there, it's in your body, it's trained in your body, much like it is when you a tennis stroke or a golf stroke or whatever, right? Or your handwriting. There's a muscle memory that goes in this. The more we repeat expressions and emotions, there's a physicality that goes with any emotion, correct, Beena?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Right. You see what I mean now? So now when you understand this, when you understand that emotional, attitudinal responses, attitude, I want to be whatever. If you change your posture, you change your stance, you change your mood, you change the way you feel. It's all connected. Yes. And this is why these habits get stored in the body as well as muscle memory. Too much muscle memory and you'll get clogged down and you can get stiff and you can't move. Old age. In other words, I'm saying old age is the accumulation of habits. Too much accumulation of habits, like in your hard drive, when it gets too full, your computer stops working. Okay? Understanding, we don't need to die. We die because we've been living inappropriately, ineffectively, inefficiently, because we don't understand the greater system. Yes, it works in the short term, but this is a key understanding. Just because something can work in the short term doesn't mean it will work in the long term. A little bit won't kill you, but a lot will. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, bread, bread, very healthy, very good. Salt. You have to have salt to live. Too much salt, you die. Too little salt, you also die, right? So it's about appropriateness, in other words. Yes. Yeah. No. This is very key. This is absolutely key. Absolutely key. Yes. The ability to not only learn and to learn how to learn, and to be able to not just learn, but to be able to create the tools of learning needed for that situation. Right? Once you got your basic tools, now that's cool. But we want to go further. We want to say, I don't want to carry around a whole bunch of tools when I can carry around a tool making machine. That's smaller, lighter, much more effective, right? One thing to take with me. That's it. This is my capital L learning. It is a tool making machine. I can create the attitudes, the mindsets, the strategies, the structures, whatever I need in the moment. Yes. I need a screwdriver. Okay, machine, make me a screwdriver. I don't need to carry it all around with me. Yes. So much better.
Yes.
Mentally, we have this. Emotionally, we have this. Yes. And therefore, we also need to. So we want to learn how to learn, which means the ability to create, to construct, to reinvent. Plus, we want to also get into the habit of saying, that's done, delete. I don't need to save this. I don't need to save things, because saving, I need to only save what is critically necessary to remember. I need to save my password. Right? That's it. I can't create the password every time. Yeah? I mean, I suppose I could, because I can say, okay, forgot password. So yeah. And some people do this. They never remember passwords. They just go, okay, password logins. I forgot my password, and you go and then you create it. Now, if you're only accessing a program, once a month, and then fine, don't remember the password. Just go create new password. I forgot my password. Not a problem, right? See? So even some things that we feel we have to remember, we don't. Yeah, because it's right there. What do I need to remember? It says forgot your password. Okay, cool. It's all there. So I can just feel, so, all right, I don't need to stress about this. See? So there are many situations in life where we think we need to remember, like with the passwords, but actually we don't. Yeah, because there's that forgot password option. Yeah? That's something. But when we understand the
Yes.
abstract,
Yes.
this is the key. To understand the abstract, it saves all this accumulated necessity for memory. So for me personally, I really make an effort to not remember things that aren't absolutely needed to remember. Yes. Now, there are things sometimes which are unobvious, non-obvious, and that I wish I'd known that to start with. That would have saved me a lot of trouble. Those are the things to remember. Yes. Like, it's obvious to go this path. It seems to be obvious, but then you get there, and if you do it every time, dang it, man. Now that I got to step 10, 20, which if I'd remembered to do the thing in the first place, now I don't have to go back and redo it all over again. This often happens. So that's the thing that I remember. The critical thing that doesn't follow from the obvious steps, right? The non-obvious stuff. That's what I make an effort to remember. And that's very strategically helpful, because now I'm remembering one key point. And now I can say, okay, well, I come to the situation and it's like, okay, I'll do the obvious. Oh, yes, but wait. Before you go on, if you go down this path, you're going to get to step 20, and then there's going to be that surprise, and then you have to come all the way back. But if we do this ahead of time, then we don't have that problem at step 20, because the path is slightly different, and then it's all free and clear and good. Wonderful. Okay, cool. Brilliant. Yeah? That's a very key point to deep learning. I mean, we'll go over this again, Beena, right? This is a massive topic, and I'm glad you brought it up today. And we'll definitely go over, because it needs to become this is part of the new nobility learning. We can say, all right, I kind of understood what you said today. Me, I want to go over it. I want to go over it for myself, because yes, I know it and I understand it, but it's not deeply intrinsic yet. Yes, I need to get to become a wizard on this topic, so that I can know it forwards, backwards, upside down, inside out, that I don't need to think about it, that it's innate, that it's deep. And I need to know it so well that it can replace those habitual learnings that are still there that I think I need. Yes. I want to replace my routines that are habitual routines with on the moment construction routines. Now I can get rid of thousands, because I have this one ability, right? Because I've got a robot. You got to program that robot. Okay, put your arm here. The robots they train in like the car parts factories, right? They train them. They say, go here, go there, and they follow the movements of the workers, right? But it takes the training. They do the same thing over and over. But if you have a robot, like a human being, that comes in, okay, it figures it out. It can figure it out in the moment. This is a great skill for robots. But yet, unfortunately, we appear to be free thinking, but we're not. The human being is kind of remembering it all also, but just doing it more sophisticatedly than the robot. They're not truly figuring it out in the moment. So when we get robots like that, man, that would be fantastic. Then it will be a whole different deal. But we want to understand this, right? And those robots too, they can only handle so much, because the hardware too much. They can't take too many routines, because then also there's no hardware to support it. Same with us, right? We're limited. We have to utilize our inner hard drives, our inner RAM, our inner processor to best effect. Yes. So when we understand this, we understand habits. Habits are our real enemy. We might as well say habits, habit lead to death, right? Habit is the road to death, because it's not one habit in itself. It's the accumulation of habits, of course. A few of them is fine, but too many gonna kill you. Yes. Make sense, Beena?
Absolutely.
And to bring this back now to your point about application, capital P, practice, changing in the moment, refining, being able to create your reactivity, your response, your emotionality, your thinking in the moment without feeling stressed by having to rely on memory. This is the skill. When we accomplish this, we come into a situation freely. You say, yes, I may get it wrong this time, right? But so what? 99% of the time or whatever, the majority of the time, I'm going to get it right. And it works. And it's fun. And it's fun. It's fresh. It's new. That's the magic of deliberate living. That when you recreate your learning in the moment, it's fresh, it's new, it's alive. Yes. That's the downside of habits, repetition. Yeah. Not fun, boredom. Yeah. You do it new every time, it's always fun, right? So there's an added bonus to this when we really get into the lessons of awareness from the universe. Everything is there for moreness reasons. You do the same thing every day. How can I get her out of there? Don't do the same thing. Relearn it like a child. Wow, wonderful. Very powerful. Very powerful. Practice sitting. Practice standing as if you're doing it fresh and new. It's fantastic. You really want to take this, you know, and I'll speak from personal experience. Yes, I was right-handed most of my life. At some point I switched for this reason, to pay attention to learning deliberately, right? And when you start doing things with your other hand now, because you're so entrenched with the habit, you are now paying attention to the habit of habit making. And now it's about being deliberate. Yes, you start doing things deliberately, right? Stir your coffee, do everything differently all the time. Practice being deliberate, practice reinventing the wheel in the moment. That will develop abstract learning tools. Yes. And through that, from this abstract learning tools, we put them all together and we abstract that and we get a tool making machine. Yes. And we learn how to learn. Once we learn how to learn, we can create the learning necessary in the moment. Yes. All right, Beena?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Just such a, I'm saying this is a huge topic that we really went into
Exactly.
nicely detail,
Yes.
but we're going to come back at it. We're going to come back at it. We're going to come back.
Yes.
At it.
Just want to
like,
say something just for my own
please,
clarity.
please.
Uh,
I want to. Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, that yes, application. This is the most crucial, the most important, the most valuable part of learning and growing. Otherwise, it's all meaningless, as you say that.
Yes.
My point was today was to embracing and acknowledging the stumbles, the fluctuation, the glitches in the process of learning and growing. When we encounter these things, when we are doing something, when we want to do, we know our stuff, we know that ins and out of something, but still we got something which is like, okay, like a glitch, like stumbling, like not finding appropriate words and precise vocabulary in that particular moment. We get caught up into like, oh my God, I was not able to do this. It was not right. It was not this and blah, blah, blah. But today I just changed my perspective on that and starting seeing those mistakes, those fumbles, those not precise vocabulary, not accurate usage of words, as a sign from the universe, as that universe is communicating with us, that universe is working with us and for us, and showing us where we need to pay attention. That's why we fumble. It's just a slight difference in the perspective. For me, it's a shift in perspective. So we can embrace our fumbles. So we can embrace our mistakes. We can our lackings. And because now the universe, when the universe is communicating with us, I suddenly just got like a fumble. Oh, okay. I didn't mean to say that, but I said, okay, I didn't mean to do that, but I did. Oh, I was able to do it much better, but I couldn't. These are all the signs that universe is communicating with us. This is the exact point where you need to pay attention, where you need to invest more energy in terms of time and focus and attention and other. So my whole point was today just to share with you, because you elaborated such in a really such detail that it just opened a completely new perspective in my mind. So I'm just sharing that for my own preciseness.
Please keep going, keep going. Share
Yes,
all of what's come up for you. What
yes.
exactly was new for you?
Yes, so the new was that instead of getting shy away from with the mistakes and all these things, and getting puzzled and embarrassed and disheartened, instead of all these things, if we just assume that, oh, I fumbled because universe was
Disheartened.
communicating with me. Oh, I was distracted at those moments. That universe distracted me because the universe wants me to pay more attention to this thing and really develop a skill to not get distracted. And something like that. Everything is just, if we take it as a sign from the universe or a symbol from the universe or the way universe communicating with us, then all the mistakes will make sense. Like now, everything is making sense for me. This awkwardness, this lack of clarity, this lack of preciseness, this the lack of thinking it through to the end. All those things. This is how the universe is communicating with me. Sometimes some diversion, some distraction just pop up while I'm talking to you and something happened. And I'm like, okay, I got distracted and I lose my train of thought and then I cannot communicate it well. But this, if I take it as that universe put this distraction in my path because universe want me to learn to not get distracted. So universe just pulling these type of situations in my life, in my path, so I cannot get distracted again. And this is a shift for me. This is something I feel that it is this is the power of perspective shifting. So now every single time when I will humble, I will say, okay, so what universe is trying to tell me now? And this is what I learned.
Exactly. Once we get into that habit, everything else falls away. And when we understand that what the universe is trying to tell you is moreness always, now we have this joy, this incredible, not only joy, but peace of being. Because we know that what the universe is trying to tell you is learning. It's not going to give you the answer. What the universe is trying to tell you is, here's a learning situation.
Yes.
I've got to figure it out. Oh, it's about learning. It's about enhancing and developing my awareness. Okay. It becomes much simpler. Always a gift. Always a gift. Now, what do you keep saying with the magic of gifts? Right? First of all, you trust in the gift. Yes?
Yes.
Secondly, there's something else that makes a gift, and that's gift wrapping.
Yes.
That's how you know a gift is a gift, because it's gift wrapped. The universe, likewise, when it gives you capital G gifts, there's that gift wrapping. And likewise, that you have to open your gift. We have to make a bit of effort to open the gift from the universe, which is basically figuring it out, understanding it, right? You have to unwrap it a bit. It's part of the process. It's necessary, right? So 2 key points with gifts. One is trust, and the other one is gift wrapping.
Yes.
Important to be aware of.
Yes.
And once we're in this habit now, and we have this as part of our default, everything becomes a gift. We live in a world full of gifts. Now, if you literally were in a world full of literal gifts, right, all packaged around you, wrapped up, you wouldn't be able to necessarily use them all, right? Let's say you walk into this, fantasy that your whole house that you come into, you're gifted this house, and everywhere in the house that you go, it's just gifts on top of gifts on top of gifts. Yes. Would you be able to use all of those things inside the gift? No, you wouldn't know what's in there, but you know that you live in this fantastic house, that you're constantly going to be opening the gifts and using it. Now, are you going to open it and then set the thing aside and open the next one? No, that would be wasting the gift. You have to open it, use it, enjoy it, play with it, practice it, put it into work, get fully competent in it. Then you go and open the next gift. Yes? It's a matter that you've got a house full of gifts. You're saying, man, this is fantastic, right? Especially if you have a bit of patience and discipline and understanding. Because if if I just open all the gifts and just unwrap, I'm going to waste all the gifts. Yes? And maybe if I start wasting the gifts, all the gifts that are there will disappear because they're magical gifts. Yeah?
Yes.
See? But I can live in that house full of gifts and be aware that I've got gifts waiting to be opened. And even if I don't see the gifts, when I've finished utilizing, the next one's going to appear. Yeah, it will come. Yes. I don't have to see them all. This is the deep trust in attunement in the universe, right? You're always going to get those gifts. Always, always, always. The key is the application. Yes, you've got to unwrap the gift. Then you have to, what is this? Oh, wow, I've never seen this before. Okay, you might have to figure out what's in the gift. Then once you figure out what it is, I have to figure out how to use it. Yes. Some gifts are very confusing sometimes and confounding, even though they're very simple. So I get this magical, wonderful gift, and it's just this like little peculiar thing, and it's just like a little bubble thing. This one is not particularly pretty, but let's just say, and I say, oh, what do I do with this? How do I use this? Well, the universe says you put it on your mantelpiece and you just enjoy it because it's art. It's just beautiful. It's just nice. That's still using the gift. Yes. To enjoy it is to use it. Yes. But we have to make a space within us for that appreciation, that connectivity, that understanding, right? In order to enjoy it, I have to be connected to it. Yes? So that's a doing, is that connectivity, it's a doing, see? When we start to think abstract, everything explodes, everything explodes, everything explodes. Learning how to learn, learning how to think, because learning how to think is learning how to feel, yes?
Yes.
Thinking is a tool. It's not an endpoint. People mistake that. Yes, I need to learn how to think so that I can learn how to feel. Once I develop the ability to feel the way I wish to on demand, deliberately, do I need to think anymore? No. See? It's a tool. It's like a ladder that you getting up onto the next plateau. Once you're up there, I don't need the ladder anymore. I'm on the next plateau now. I don't need that ladder. It's important, though, to understand this and be aware that not to make the tool the goal. Yes, we need to enhance this tool, refine this tool, become absolute wizards at using this tool. But that doesn't mean the tool is the goal. It's a tool. It's a tool. What do you use a tool for? Is to do something else with. Correct? Thinking is a tool, much like ego. All of these things, all tools, all tools, all tools. Yeah, this is what sets us apart from animals, tool using. Yes, there are some animals who use tools in very limited ways, but they aren't tool users in general. Yes, and certainly aren't tool constructors, tool creators. Yes, and they don't use their tools in the abstract. They'll do it for a very specific thing because they've seen it, whatever. Right? It's very limited. You can see the rudiments of it, but our absolute wizardry at tool using is what sets us apart. But we are wizards at tools in the physical. We need to become wizards of tools in the abstract as well. Yes. Emotional tools, perspective tools, perception tools, thinking tools, feeling tools, understanding tools, awareness tools, discernment tools. Yes. This is what Way of Impeccability is. A toolbox for deliberate living. That subtitle is everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Make sense, Beena? We tie it all together. Tie it all together,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
The grand sensibility to all this. And in the new nobility story, we're seeing the utilization of these tools. And we have to really put some effort into because it's so intrinsic, it's so innate. You know, like the simple thing where Biella dims the light away from, you know, when while there's light on it, because we need to see who's doing the takeaway, else it's disconnected, right? Where she takes it away. That's the tool of consideration, the tool of awareness. Yes, being applied. Very subtle, right? Now, I mean, it could just be, okay, she did it and whatever. You know, it doesn't necessarily have meaning. But when we understand it's deliberately done in full conscious with awareness, deliberateness, with moreness attached to it, oh, now it becomes a simple act, but there's moreness to it. Yes, very powerful, very, very powerful. It's the whole story is like that. Everything is meaningful and consequential. Implications. Any more, Beena? Share what you think.
No, this is so wonderful, and it's a good point to end this, because
Yes,
I want to keep it in my mind. I want to keep it fresh. Sometimes it
yes.
happens in the life. There are a lot of moreness, a lot
Keep
of
what
perspective.
fresh?
Keep the last things you said that, and then I want to just keep this conclusion in my mind. I don't
Okay.
want to lose this to discuss other things on top of it, which actually happen quite often in the lives, because sometimes the sharing is so profound, and we just say, okay, oh, now we want to discuss something else, and of course we just share some other perspective or add something into it, which kind of like, okay, oh, it's gone now. Because we have something else. So sometimes I just said, okay, let's stay with this. Some perspective, some new awareness, some new sharing needs to have its own time, and to
Yes.
stay with it, so then it can actually internalize
Yes.
really well.
Yes.
And this is what I want.
Yes. And to make sure of this, we're going to go over this topic again and again, because typically we can only take away 1 or 2 or 3 things, right? Very few. And we make those, and then we come back and we take more, and we take more until we get them all, right? So we'll come back to this. This is a big topic. It's the everything topic. So it's huge. I love it. All right, Beena. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, everyone.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow, and we will come back again on this topic, and also the story. It's all part of the story, by the way, no matter how digress it seems, but it is all part of the story. It is coming because the story is always in the subconscious. It is staying there. At least this is what is happening for me. So whatever is coming via and because of that story for me. That continuously thinking about things is coming from this story. So even when we are not reading, even if we are not quoting it, even if we are not mentioning new nobles, nobility, Biella, Arshla, whoever, we are not even mentioning it. It's still we are sharing the stories from perspectives from the story. So it's all story for us.
Right, because we're bringing that story to bear on our lives.
Yes.
And that's important. We live the story, in other words. I mean, not in itself inherently, but because it's coming to bear in our lives, it's having influence in our lives. We live it this way, right? We live it via that implication, that connectivity. It's very profound thing, very profound thing. And it's the point of the story. It's about application, living it, application, using it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Okay. See you soon. See you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye, everybody. End meeting for all.